Welcome back to Invest Global. Today I'm going to do a little update on the Pulse Chain Sacrifice Phase airdrop. Now, this has been very, very interesting to track throughout all of the phases, as you know, and as I've covered after the first few days, the increase in rate goes up 5%. Okay, so that means you're actually getting less value in the actual sacrifice points per dollar that you spend, right? So we can see this right here. This rate increases 5% a day after those first 5 days. It went up from here. And by the very end, essentially what you'll do is you'll get 50% less what you would have gotten at those first couple of days. So it's a very interesting game theory they have built in here for essentially incentivizing people to kind of front load the capital that they would inject in it, right? Otherwise, they're going to kind of reward procrastinators, right? So if this was just a flat line and all the way across till day 1 to day 19, hey, it's just $1, it's $1, it's $1. What would stop people from just, at the very end jumping in? And that's why I think we have seen this massive, massive fundraise to over $500 million to $568 million. And keep in mind, this is just with ERC20 tokens, right? So this is just with tokens they can track. Etherscan is not able to track some of these other tokens that are able to be sacrificed, like, I don't even want to say it, but it's like Voldemort, the name. It's Dogecoin and some of these others. Like I think Lumens is on that list, probably Avalanche, basically anything else that has their own scan, right? Their own version of like Etherscan, BSC scan, Ava scan, I think it's like a Luna scan or something like that, or maybe even like Sol scan for Solana, but all these different blockchain networks that you're able to sacrifice, which there's a full list of this, all the tokens you can, I've talked about in other videos. So they don't have that valuation, right? So at the very end of all of this kind of sacrifice phase, we will be able to see the actual real value. My personal opinion, I think we'll get up close to $750 million. So I think we'll get up to $750 million. That's kind of high valuations. Personally, again, you have to understand what you're doing here with this airdrop, because this specific part of the airdrop, right? It's not like this is the only part of this airdrop. This specific part is just to potentially gain access to PLS tokens. And the idea here is per sacrifice point, you have one PLS token, right? So at this point, if you would have sacrificed $1, you would have had 10,000 sacrifice points. And again, Rich Tar has said in the past, and you have to keep this with a grain of salt, right? Because this could all change, that one PLS token will equal one sacrifice point, right? So if you sacrifice $1, potentially you could get 10,000 PLS tokens. Now, keep in mind, after this sacrifice phase is over and the PLS token launches on the market, right? So it has actual price discovery. The second it enters the market, it will have price discovery. But anything leading up to that, like right now, PLS tokens are worth 0. And that's the whole point here is for tax purposes, you have, if let's say, he was going to say, hey, every PLS token is worth 0.0001 cent, right? Or let's just say, we're going to match it with the dollar, right? So we're going to match this with the dollar. 0.00001 cents is what we're going to launch PLS at. That wouldn't really make much sense, right? Because when you do that, you essentially have this taxable event, right? Because you're receiving this. If you receive 0, and that 0 increases, all you have is the capital gains, right? And it's if you sell. But if you buy this, right, so buying it versus sacrificing it, and the whole point here with their disclaimer is to kind of cover this whole process, you're sacrificing this to prove how strong you believe in the blockchains. The whole idea here, the reason they're kind of covering themselves is that, you have to separate out, okay, what's a security, right? So something like XRP fell into a lot of issue with this when they were kind of classified as a security. And then obviously they didn't classify themselves as a security, but the SEC did, right? So this is something that you kind of have to cover yourself with, and I think it's interesting to start it off at 0 and then let the market decide, hey, what is a price discovery? Not letting some human decide, because that's what blockchain is all about, right? Is kind of remove this kind of trust in this human error aspect we have, and just let verification, blockchain, auditability, all these things kind of work their way out, right? So if you're confused on Pulse Chain, one of the things I talked about in a previous update was they relaunched their code. So their code is on GitHub. You can watch, I'll have a link down below in the description to my previous videos on this. You can click on, I think it was the second one that I did when they launched their GitHub code. And then in the description there, there's stuff you can do. If there's anything you want to make sure you're up to date on with PulseChain, if you want to tweet at them, follow them at PulseChain.com. They also have a pretty active Telegram group, which you can see right here. So you can check that out. So t.me/pulsechain.com. You can also follow us at Twitter and Instagram at investglobal_IO. I don't use Twitter all that often, but I do it to, I'm kind of working on it, right? So I don't have a lot of time. I do a lot of traveling. I was just talking about in Daily DeFi, which will be coming out after this. I recorded that. this month of July has been crazy. I started off in Georgia, not the state, but the country of Georgia, then went from Georgia to Armenia, Armenia to Ukraine, Ukraine to Poland, Poland to Czech Republic, stayed in Prague for a little bit, and then a little bit of a smaller town, and now I'm here currently in Bratislava, Slovakia. So it's been a very interesting month. Like I said, I don't typically have a ton of time to waste away on Twitter, but if you want updates from the channel, I typically, maybe I'll spend a couple minutes on it if I have time in a day, and then get in, get out. That's kind of my method with this stuff. Not wasting away on these things. But if you want to stay up to date with the project, Twitter's a great way to do it, right? This is all part of the process. Let's see here. So as I was saying, total value locked in here is right above $568 million, and that's not including all these other tokens. Beyond that, if we wait 3 more days here, it'll be essentially doubled, right? So we are in between day 16 and 17, kind of slowly creeping up to that day 19, where essentially that same dollar you put in will be worth half, right? So that's basically all for this video. If you guys have any questions, any comments, let me know in the comment section down below. You can also join our Telegram group, which is linked below. Like I said, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at investglobal_IO. Just starting up the Instagram for the channel, but I figured to diversify out of some of these social media platforms is important, right? Diversification, not just in financial assets, not just in political risk, but sometimes, these big fintech companies is important. YouTube can ban you at any point in time. So it's always something to keep in mind. Beyond that, I highly recommend reading this disclaimer here to understand what exactly is going on. Volume multiplier bonus, to be quite honest with you, unless you're sacrificing like above 6 figures, probably not going to be for you. You can see, it's basically like who's at the front of the line with who's sacrificed the most. Probably not going to be for you if you're below 6 figures. So keep that in mind. That's all for this episode. Again, Invest Global. If you enjoyed the video, like it, subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with the notification bell. And also, just to recap, Twitter, Instagram at investglobal_IO. Follow Pulse Chain. Also, Telegram group link down below in the description. That's all for this one, Invest Global. And until next time.